All right, so why are you so tired?
I mean, the answer to that story should be something that if I was a good entertainer, a good storyteller, someone who can like be any way, shape, or form captivating, I would lie. I would make something up. I would find a way to like spin something to maybe entertain you, or we're like, hey, we're doing a podcast, right? But I think that I'm just coming to the fact that I'm bad at all those things because I can't sit here and try and be entertaining. I just I was up really late last night because I wanted to play more Persona 5 Royale,
Wow.
and then I got like 5 hours of sleep, and then I woke up, and then I started working as soon as I woke up, and then I worked for like 12 hours, and then I went on a quick little run, and I'm like, okay,
Wow.
we're being productive. I'm channeling like real Mamba energy. Like I am Kobe Bryant, motherfucker. Like I'm like two a days. We're conquering every day that we're living right now. I'm great. I'm on fire. I feel good about myself. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna message Austin. We'll record a show soon for tonight. Get that going. Let me just jump in the shower real quick. I'm a little sweaty, and then I don't know what your normal shower routine is. I feel like we talk a lot about personal hygiene on this show. Personal hygiene, Dota, Los Angeles, and some mixture of the three, right?
Mm-hmm.
I take most showers. I would say that I end up sitting down in 90% of the showers I take.
Huh.
I sit down in the vast majority of my showers.
If it's okay, do you have a seat
No,
in your shower?
no, I do
So
not.
you just sit on the ground?
Correct. I just sit on the ground. Sometimes I got to make sure that my fat ass is maneuvered away so I'm not clogging the drain. Um, hey man, shit
I
happens.
don't know. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that you sit down in 90% of your showers, because I understand it. If you've got one of those showers that has some sort of seat in there, some sort of get up so you can sit down and just let the water rain out, totally understand that. But the fact that 90% of the time you do that and you don't have a seat, that is like that is going the extra mile, because then you have to get down on the ground and you know then get yourself back up off the ground.
Yeah,
which
and
is also an effort.
sometimes I actually I put little like you like those little stickers that are non-slip that like help with grip in the shower. They're designed for either children or people who are old enough to be prone to breaking hips. I got them in my shower just because I do a lot of standing up, sitting down. I want to be as safe as possible, right? I really like taking a shower. I like sitting down and brushing my teeth. I like sometimes listening to a podcast. The motif here is I like taking long showers. Sometimes I like to take like a pumice stone and like scrub the shit out of my heels in the shower. Do that sitting down. It's very nice.
Okay.
Every shower I try and bend over and stretch and try and touch my toes in every shower. That's
Really?
a weird routine that I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Every,
Do you imagine that like the hot water loosens up
yes.
your body
Yep,
more?
you're
So you're able
100%.
to
Yep. I'm embarrassed to admit that. Not scientific. Yep. I get in. I brush my teeth. I try and touch my toes. I sit down brushing my teeth. Wash my body with soap. Sometimes I sit down for longer than I want to if I got the time. Get up, do the hair, call it a day. Right. Today, something hit me, and in the middle of sitting down and brushing my teeth, I just fell asleep. I just fell asleep, leaning up against the sidewall of the shower. I don't know how long I was out for. I think it might have been like 10 minutes. I think it was a pretty solid nap. I woke up and I'm like, what is that? And it's like my toothbrush on the floor now, like up against the side of my thigh. And I'm like, oh no, this is.
Oh, so you woke up to some pleasant dreams.
Yeah. Like I'm like, what's going on? This, I'm also embarrassed to admit that this isn't the first time this has happened. It's the first time that's happened in a while. One time when I was at my college dorm, I have a memory of needing to take a shower before I started writing a paper that was due the next morning, and I went out drinking that night. And I'm like, oh, I'll just sober up in the shower. I fell asleep in the shower. My fat ass did clog the drain by sleeping on top of it. I think the alcohol made me sleep for longer, and I proceeded to just flood like half of my dorm room. Um, so yeah, so this is at least the second time that I've fallen asleep in the shower. I think there's a third time too. Point being, there's probably a trend here that I should probably use less water in the shower.
Have you ever fallen asleep standing up?
I don't think so.
I've done that.
How that feels excessively hard. That has to be like a military exhaustion thing, if I had to guess, right?
It was. It was. Yeah. It very frequently it happens too. The situation that I had is that we were crammed, as they like to say it, dick to ass, where we're just in a line stuffed up against each
Not
other.
social distanced.
Not socially distanced whatsoever. And we've got our packs on our backs. And so I was just kind of cramped up to a point where I was able to fall asleep. I was standing in this line unintentionally, but I was able to fall asleep and I didn't fall over anywhere because we were just crammed together.
No.
And so I fell asleep. I just woke up to one of the drill instructors. Yeah, you're really fucked up now, aren't you?
Yeah,
This is
probably...
like this was like towards the, normally you get hazed for falling asleep, but this was like towards the very end. It was literally like the last day of like the final test basically. And so you were expected, you're operating, I think you go like 72 I think it's like 72 hours and you sleep like 4, 6, something like that. You don't sleep very much, and I think you only get like three meals.
What's the military logic to like what that is training you to do? And I'm not trying to like be super anti. I can be anti-military, but like I genuinely can't figure out like what they're trying to instill in you with that exercise.
It's like the final test. So most of what like boot camp and that sort of thing, combat training, a lot of it is just psychological. Like I actually feel like it's testing you psychologically more than most other things.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be perfectly honest, like, yeah, physically it's exhausting. And it almost doesn't matter how good of shape you are in. But in some ways, it also doesn't matter how bad of shape you're in. It's more of the fact that you're just constantly going.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe it's tougher if you're like literally physically weaker, so like certain physical tests are like straight up harder for you and stuff. But like I actually think that most of what you're supposed to be enduring is psychological stress and just trying to push you to your limits and see what kind of person you are when you come out the other side of that. So if you're a person who breaks down at that point in time, obviously you're not fit to be in those situations in the future, and probably not fit to be, in my case, a Marine. So that's just kind of like that would be that from my perspective was the understanding of it. Obviously, like being physically fit is still an important trait as well, but a whole lot of it is just breaking you down to your essence so you can be built back up. If that makes any sense.
No,
it sounds a
makes
little
a ton of sense.
It sounds a little weird, but obviously you kind of need to break people down for them to follow orders. And just listen to other human beings with little restraint, and just do whatever they say. Obviously, that's not actually how the military operates. You don't just blindly follow orders, but there is a certain lack or a certain you're supposed to be able to break down the idea of asking why, which kind of has its problems with it. But like the first step is stopping you from asking why, and then they feed it back to you like, oh, you don't blindly follow orders. There is a rules and laws, and you should be aware of those sort of things. And they're like, they later encourage you to do that, but first they take that away, so you blindly follow. But yeah, that was one of those situations. That and that's also how people get like. They pass out in like formation and stuff. They're either too tired or they're locked their knees, and then they pass out and they fucking break their jaws and shit like that. because a human being that just falls straight forward doesn't the human body isn't very well equipped to deal with that. So yeah.
Dude, again, I've said it before. Couldn't even imagine, and mostly for the situation you're talking about. Like if I try and project myself onto that situation, it's more so the mental thing than the physical thing. I think I can get my body in shape enough if I really like had to and was forced to, right? But the broken down mental psyche and the conformity, I don't know if I could.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you kind of want to do. But I think if you want to do it, like very few people actually like get cut out. If you go so far as to actually getting into boot camp and stuff, like you obviously want it to a certain degree. That 95% of people, if I had to guess, 95% of people make it through training. I would guess it's probably more like 85%, maybe a bit less, all the way through the pipeline of going through combat training and then your MOS training and stuff like that. But like by and large, people make it through. It's not that hard.
Speaking of making it through, how's your last literal week been?
It's good. It's been pretty good. I would say we had an election, and much of the U.S. and the world breathed a sigh of relief that America did in fact do what was probably the smart thing.
I think so. I think we're aligned there.
Like if you're not aligned with that, like I don't really know what to say to you at that point in
They're
time.
They're probably not
like,
listening to the show.
I totally get if you're like not a fan of our next upcoming president or whatever, or you don't affiliate with that party or something, but like just for my own personal sanity and let's say reputation of me and my nationality to the rest of the foreign world, like how embarrassing it is to have Trump be our president and like do some of the things that he does and says and all that shit, and just like have Europeans just like, so you guys are really stupid.
I think we definitely get that perspective because we kind of have a lot of friends who are international, like through esports and through Dota, right? Where like if I talk to my parents about that, they'll be like, what do you mean Europe thinks that we're weird? Like who cares? Or they either just like don't get it, or they don't have that kind of globalization connection.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's real cool to be Don Draper. I don't think you're a very good person. Well, I don't think of you at all. Like everyone likes to think that's like super cool, but that's not actually the way like the world or society or those sort of things work. You do care what other people think about you.
Dude, I had so yeah, this will be coming out Tuesday the 10th, and a week ago when last episode launched, Tuesday the 3rd, in America, as most people know, we had the presidential election. It took like 5 days to actually get some kind of a steadfast result, and I was fortunate enough that we made November 3rd a company holiday at Team Liquid. At least for the North American staff, which was really great. I think a lot of people who work for the company are like very moderately to very left leaning. I think that there's like everyone is on that side of the spectrum, just in varying degrees. And they recognized, I think, that people just really weren't going to be working because everyone was just going to be like refreshing the New York Times all day, right? And I was one of those people. I took advantage to like, kind of work out a little bit that day, to kind of try and have some semblance of a normal day, do a little bit of work because I'm a sociopath who like needs to do work to feel justified, even though we're supposed to take a day off. But that's
why are you existing if you're not working, Joey?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have a therapy session probably like 10 to 30 years from now, and that's gonna be the bulk of my problem. I guarantee it. And yeah. Anywho, so we took the day off work, and then Thursday night rolls around, and I think that most good logic pointed to things being like somewhat close to potentially being a blowout, but I set myself up to be more optimistic than I normally let myself to be.
Oh, So you were like, I'm gonna be optimistic. This is gonna be fine. And then like the numbers started coming in, and for most states, so if you guys don't know, like we have in-person voting, and then some states, for whatever reason, America is still living in the fucking 20th century, not the 21st century. So some states only do in-person polling, like in-person voting rather than by mail,
Mhm.
or something that would be a lot easier and more democratic. And some states have started instituting some of that, and so like basically what happens is the votes that come in initially are all in-person voting, which for whatever reason, uh, the pandemic has been politicized to a point where more people were willing to accept that coronavirus is a lie and not that big of a deal or whatever. So they're willing to go to public places and do that sort of thing. And then the other side is more likely to do mail-in voting. So initial numbers were very concerning.
Yeah, and initial numbers were pretty concerning because we've polarized not only the pandemic but voting, which is we can talk about that forever. That's not the point, really. I chose to be optimistic. I really thought that this was gonna just kind of be like a repudiation of what was going on. I knew that there's like a lot of people, some in my family, some that I'm very personally close to. Like I know that the people who still support Trump like exist, right? Like
Same.
But I didn't think that it was going to be as incredibly widespread as we found out that it still was. Like over 70 million people like voted for him, which is wild to think about, right?
Mhm.
Right? At least for me. And the night that election night came, me and even a lot of my coworkers were like having very serious like anxiety problems.
Mhm.
I used to I would never say that I had a serious anxiety problem when I was younger. I know a lot of people like have very serious issues with it, and it can be crippling and like on a spectrum, right? But probably in my early to mid teens, probably like between 9 and 15, if I had to guess. Like I definitely had a lot more problems just with like crippling, shutty downy, cold sweat, nauseating anxiety, for no reason that I really could have pinpointed as a child, or really had like the any like help to like help me understand what was going on. I think ironically enough, a lot of it was triggered by public speaking, which is funny to say on a podcast that 1,000 people are going to listen to, right?
Mhm.
But it's funny how life works, right? And probably for the last 10 years of my life, I haven't had any of those feelings, to the point where it's not something that I even like cognitively think about ever, because it almost feels like that's a different person. But on election night, I was so worked up at the thought that this might not be over, that we still like not be the America that I was hoping we were trending towards, and still like okay with what was going on, that I was just like laying in my bed sweating, like doom scrolling, feeling miserable, absolutely miserable, and super anxious for the first time in like 10-12 years. And it took me a hot minute. I guess my trigger was just American politics. It took me really a hot minute into Wednesday to kind of begin to function as a normal person again. It's really hard to play off that story. I'm not setting you up
okay,
for
no.
success.
It's not actually. It's not just that. It's the fact that I do not have that problem. I was actually thinking, when you were talking about the whole working thing and your like therapist moment, I was like, man, I can't be. I could not be farther from the truth. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty hard worker, but like that's for a number of reasons. I really like my job. And I like helping people, and I like being a part of a team and working towards a common goal. So all of those things motivate me. But like, my parents are like, were fucking shocked that I went to the Marine Corps, because they were just like, that doesn't seem like you at all. Because I am like fucking I'm like even keeled, easy going, and I'm not looking to work that hard in my life. I'm just not. Like I'm what I'm here for is the happiness of myself. And yeah, like if the work makes me happy, then hell yeah. But like if it don't make me happy, I ain't doing it, baby. Like that's just how I roll. So like and anxiety has never been a problem for me, except for very key moments in my life. So what I have experienced, I do know how bad it is. So you have my sympathy for that. I never experienced disassociating before, but I had like a really bad when I left join DOTA and I was like packing up like my entire life, and Ellie and I were trying to figure out what we were gonna do with our relationship and stuff, and so we were gonna move to America together, and like we're packing up our whole lives, trying to get out the door by a certain period of time because my lease was up. Like I was trying to get out of there by the end of the month, and we decided like fucking a week beforehand. So I'd like basically decided I basically quit my job and moved countries. And Ellie and I like, had to go through some like serious relationships and stuff all in the space of like a week and a half. Not to mention like financial troubles, because it's not like Joint DOTA was paying me that well. Yeah. And like I remember like we got to the airport and we decided to bring our cat back home. Obviously, why wouldn't we? We made all the preparations to do that. And the airline, KLM, fuck KLM, told us that we couldn't bring the cat. They were trying to like figure out whether or not we could bring the cat, even though we'd already contacted them long before and told them everything. Like the people there just didn't fucking know what they were doing. And they actually delayed us so long that we missed our flight. We were the first ones there. We were the first ones there in the entire airport. We were the first people there when the airport opened, and we missed our flight because they couldn't figure it out. And then I had to buy like new flight tickets for us. I had to like borrow money from my dad to be able to basically get out of Germany to be able to go home and bring Ellie to it. It was a fucking shit show and a half. And I had experienced enough anxiety and stress at that point in time that I disassociated. I got that numbness, that fucking numbness. I felt like everything was happening at a delay. It was terrible. Fuck that. I don't envy anybody who goes through that on a regular basis. Ugh.
I think that I'm pretty fortunate for a lot of reasons, but generally, like, I'm pretty good at taking stress and using that as like fuel or motivation. I think that I do some of my best work with like mild to moderate amounts of stress. I think that like it can be a good motivator. It can be good fuel, and I'm sure some people I'm shooting off red flags and would chronically disagree with me, but for me it generally works. It works pretty well. And it's weird because to go back to a moment where I'm like having issues with just like overflowing amounts of anxiety when that isn't who I've been for so long, just be like, oh whoa, this is like weird. It's like you can't really, it seems like you can't always fully escape like your past sometimes. Which is what's kind of interesting, because like where the stress, I seldom describe myself as a stressed person, even though I think other people would like attribute that label to me, because I truly don't oftentimes feel stressed. But the anxiety almost feels like a completely different beast. So it's weird to kind of like parlay those into two different things. But yeah, I was really set off by the election, like I haven't been in a long time, and I know that I also am like super invested in it. Like we talk about on the show sometimes. I'm very much a liberal cuck.
Well, it's good you recognize it. The first step, Actually, quick side note to that story, by the way, there was a moment Ellie and I had decided that like they weren't letting us go through with the cat, and we were just going to leave the cat there at the airport, which like we love our cat and everything. Like my cat's fucking awesome. It's the best cat I've ever had. But like there was a moment that we were just like, well, fuck it, we can't afford new tickets. They can't seem to figure their heads out of their own asses. Like maybe we just leave the cat here. It was a bad moment to be in an airport with your entire life packed in bags, fucking sitting there trying to get it and deciding you're just gonna leave your pet behind.
I'm really.
Oh man, I fucking hate KLM to this day for that. Fuck KLM.
I'm thinking of the logistics of someone else who's watching your situation. Where
you know what's funny is like the cat is so small it goes underneath the seat, so it literally doesn't matter whatsoever. The people that we were talking to were like, well, I guess we have to talk to the pilot to figure out if the weight's okay. It's like a fucking 2-pound cat. Like, what the fuck do you need? It goes underneath the seat in front of you. Like, we could have snuck on with the cat.
If 3 people
Nobody
don't take
would
a
have
shit
known
before the flight, it'll weigh more than the cat does, right? Like,
yeah, like Jesus Christ, man. Like, fucking, yeah.
I imagine someone who's like watching you from afar, someone who's just observing your situation, and in the world where you do leave a cat and someone's just watching, you be like, did they just like leave it by the terminal? Like, what do you even do in that situation? Do you just give it to the KLM people and they're like, this is your cat now, I'm gonna go? Do you like put it behind a trash can? Or like,
yeah, there was basically a kind of hidden sort of area outside that would have been found by people, so it wouldn't have been there for very long. But yeah, like that was a real conversation we had because like, what else were we supposed to do? You know?
Do you ever taunt the cat with that? Like, do you ever like whenever is being like,
no,
like
I blocked that memory out. Much like the politics, like I kind of zoned out on the election. Like I checked in, of course, and I was like, oh, how's it going? Oh, looks like Nevada still hasn't counted any. Oh, they counted 10 votes in 5 hours. Good for them.
Hey man, they're busy in Vegas. They got shit to do.
But yeah, it was just like I would check in, but like Martin, you know, it's just like whatever. It'll figure itself out.
Yeah, I guess the good guys won in the end. It's not completely over. It's like a whole thing. But dude, that's
just alienate a whole lot of people by saying the good guys won in the end, huh?
You're on the right. Good team, I'm being Joey. Such as my language. The good people won in the end.
Have we ever talked about my life philosophy with those things?
What pronouns?
No. The like. I hold this like kind of. I've never heard anybody else really describe it this way. I hold this life philosophy that, like, you know, the time traveler thing, where if time travelers went back in time, you know, and like killed Hitler, right? Then like maybe a whole entire like worse world. So maybe the reason we don't have time travelers is this is actually the best existence, right? Which does fit with certain some ideas, like was it the Fermi paradox, where it's like, okay, there are certain, well, like, why haven't we experienced aliens? Well, the idea that like all societies like these have certain like great extinction moments, and there might be a great extinction moment ahead of us, right? What if you get the power to be able to basically destroy your own planet, right? Which we as humans have now at this point in time, right? Like if you get that kind of power, that you eventually get to the point of, yeah, you could travel the stars and stuff like that, but what's more likely that you just self-destruct, right? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of also leads into that, right? Like, what if this is the best universe? And so in that mindset, it's not like I'm not super lethargic about it. I believe you should try and do what you think is best. But I think there is such a lot of unintended consequences that just is rife throughout reality that at some point in time, I just very easily will let go of things and say, I don't know what the consequences of this is going to be. But maybe in a fucked up, weird, roundabout way, it'll be okay. And that's what I take out of the election. You know, it's that some part of my being is just like, I'm just going to let go because I can't have an impact on it. I voted. That's about as much I can do. Mm. And I'm just able to like let go and be like, whatever happens is going to happen. I don't know what the consequences of that are going to be, and I'm not going to pretend I'm smart enough to know what the consequences are.
Can you remember when you started to like adopt that mindset?
I think that's just like kind of been a slow buildup. I think I've always been kind of a person like that. And then certain, worldviews just get, you know, re like further cemented in
Mm-hmm.
me. Like those things, like the, I'm sure I heard about those time travelers and the theory that like this is the best universe or something like that. Maybe some part of that clicked with me. It's just like I don't take that like that specifically very seriously, but it's just a way of how I describe sort of my life philosophy in these things.
That's kind
You
of
know?
poetic. I've never heard someone say it like that before. I've heard like the time
Yeah.
traveler thing, but just explained much more poorly. So you clearly have a better internal grasp of it because you can at least explain it well. The last person trying to do that to me, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So if we haven't pissed off anybody here in this analogy, Trump was Hitler.
Great, yeah, great. I'm glad that we got that. I'm glad that we got that out the way. God, what a giant piece of fucking dog shit he is. Anywho, speaking of time traveling, do you want to time travel back with me to this weekend where the summit completed a 3-part online event that I still
Sure.
disingenuously don't even really want to call the summit. And I
Yeah.
very sparsely watched because I was less excited about it than ESL.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair because the European side of Summit wasn't nearly as good. Their best two teams were Viking GG and Liquid, and Blitz did warn me. I said, we were talking about the team and stuff, and he's like, just would we do well? Just don't bet on us on the next tournament. And he said, we just won ESL 1. And I was like, so what's coming up? And we're like, you guys doing Summit? He's like, yes, don't bet on us for the Summit. Sure enough, that happened. Viking GG won. They made it to the finals, but honestly, there were none of the big names except for Liquid and Viking GG. So
How dare you sully the legacy of Mud Golems?
I mean, like Mud Golems, was Mud Golems there? I'm sure they were.
They
but
they,
like,
they were there.
Yellow Submarine is not a bad team by any means, but
Yeah,
there was no OG, there was no Enigma, there was no Secret. So
yeah, and I think that also made it less exciting to watch. Was this one of those events where Valve helped with monetarily a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
They helped out with the summit. There's another event that's about to be going on for Realms Collide. Honestly, there's not much I can say about the summit because I also did not watch it because for reasons, man. It was just like I'm not that interested. Also, they didn't hire me. Like, there's a lot of reasons that I'm just kind of like, It's just like, like I know that tournament doesn't matter that much for me to do my job, and it's also harder to watch a tournament when it's like going on 24/7. Like it's hard to get invested into something where it's just like it's kind of always going and it doesn't have the best teams. So like, maybe if I was awake during the C times, maybe I would have watched that more because I think C is pretty interesting right now. But like NA, like I'm not gonna be that excited. Europe, I'm not gonna be that excited without like all the best teams there. So it's just kind of like,
Are we kind of done until whatever happens in January?
Epic League is happening, right?
Just
That's
the
Omega
way
League
you said that.
without We Play. It's just Epicenter. I'm presuming good teams are going to be in it. It'll be another good European tournament, no NA tournament. Realms Collide, which I'm watching right now because nobody's casting it, so I'm casting it on stream, and that's another Valve supported tournament. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is I thought it was interesting because their previous season was 10,000. It was only for SA teams. Right, because $10,000 isn't going to attract rich bougie Americans. But you get Valve supported on your next go around, you're able to up the prize pool to 75,000, and that is enough to attract some NA teams. So now it's an NASA tournament because it's Valve supported.
How does that work, like match wise on servers? What's the logistics of playing like that?
They were playing on US East. I can tell you that, which because I was watching the match today, and the Peruvian team was complaining about it because they were playing against For Fun, who did beat Quincy Crew at the summit. So they are the de facto best team in NASA right now, and they're playing in the closed qualifier because they didn't know about the event. And yeah, they were complaining about playing on US East. So most, like, if it's NASA, it's usually played on US East. Honestly, if you're like US West players, the ping difference for some South American players is actually not that different from US West to like Peru. I think is okay. I think Brazil is a little bit rougher for US East. But it's roughly equivalent of like me playing US West to Europe West. It's about 180 ping is usually what I experience. So it's playable, but obviously it's not super great, but it's the better alternative. Back in the day, we used to try and like switch servers, and like that's where the whole fucking PPD and Charlie text screenshots come from, of like basically EG saying fuck you to some SA team that they're not going to play on anything but US East. You know, it used to be back in the day that servers were kind of a toss up. Nowadays, it's just all US East.
The more you know. I feel so educated.
Yeah. So it's that's the way it goes.
I loaded up my Dota client because I still, unfortunately, haven't played any Diretide. It's on my list. I have like a post-it over here, and it's like on my thing. It's like, play Diretide with my friends and like, you know, enjoy myself. I'm making this sound much sadder than it is. I want to play. Don't laugh at me. I want to play some, but I opened it up just because I'm curious. I'm like, you know, I wonder what that fancy purple sniper set's going for. I bet I can drop, like, you know, like I'd be willing to drop like maybe like $60. I can part with $60 on that thing. That's just sure 60, maybe 70 if I'm feeling crazy. So I'm loading it up and pull my wallet out. I'm like, oh, I got like, you know, $40 in my Steam wallet. Like that's it. I can put other $20, $30 in easy. And then I went to go look at the prices right now for some of these Diretide cosmetics, and I immediately shit a brick when I'm like, holy fuck, it's a $200 item.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna own this.
Because it's hard to get the chests in the first place. I mean, you can buy them off the marketplace, but like I've played a decent amount of Dota. I've only gotten 2 of those chests. And then, so I've only bought 2 of the keys to open the chests. And both roles, I got the bare minimum level 1 set. So I'm going to just assume that it's pretty difficult to get one of those tier 4, tier 5 set dealios. So yeah, it's going to be rare for a minute, but it should drop down if this is going to continue until December 22nd, right? Then prices should go down
in theory, because
at least by the end. So yeah.
So maybe
it'll go like back up after, you know, the it's no longer available to get those chests anymore. But for now.
But do I really want to play the Dota 2 marketplace stock market where I invest in like some sniper or juggernaut items knowing that they'll go up in value in a year? Like, is that the best use of my money? The answer is almost certainly no, but might I do it anyways?
Gabe's answer is yes. Yes, you should.
Because Gabe gets a cut of the money coming in and going out. So.
Yes, he wins. The house always wins, baby.
Yeah, so
Gabe knows.
I didn't know that you only get chests as like part of a random drop. Like you either get like a chest or a pumpkin head or a voice line pack or a spray. Or I actually only recently learned that that's kind of how the drops work, which makes sense. That you have to grind super hard to get some of those items.
Yeah, again, I think they're trying to make it so this stuff is more rare. You know, everyone, if you bought a fucking battle pass, very likely you have all the fucking regular sets of a chest. Because there's fucking, you get, oh, where's my immortal treasure 1? I have 20 fucking chests of those to open. Well, you've got most of the items out of that one. None of it's that unique. You look at the Steam marketplace for many of these items that look pretty cool. They're like fucking 5 cents because like everyone has them if they wanted them. So I think they're trying to rectify that in some way and make things rare again. I don't know, man.
Treasures rare again, Cap.
Maybe that's a new slogan of Gaben. I mean, good like Diretide. I haven't actually looked at Dota numbers, but I just from my own personal experience, I could say there looks to be a lot more people playing Dota than there was before. Even as Diretide is obviously its novelty has worn off a little bit, I still see more of my friends list online playing Dota. So must work to some extent. Hey, real quickly, you know when you were talking about how you're not entertaining.
What?
Yeah. Remember? You're talking about how...
Yes, I do remember that.
It was at the beginning of the
show, yeah.
What you need is some of that actor's arrogance. I found that term out today. You know, I found out that term because I was watching a video of Bryan Cranston talking about how he found success as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know why I was listening to that as well as him, as well as Steve Martin? Because I might have actually gotten a somewhat decent voice acting gig.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, shit. I'm like a Fergie song. Oh, shit.
Yeah. I'm hoping so anyway. The details are a little bit vague, but it seems like some sort of animated show with they're talking about 50 episodes, 10 episodes for the first season, and I don't know how legit it is, but they're having me go to an actual studio here in California, so that's one step above amateur. The pay is good, so
now generally speaking, you're not supposed to talk about these things until
whatever.
Until there's like pen on paper. Like is this like a locked in?
Yeah, like I'm not posting it on social media. I'm talking about on our podcast with
but even there's a lot of internet. There's a lot of like industry like superstition and juju that because the worst possible thing that has to happen now is you have to tell me, you'd be like, hey, you know that thing that I talked about, it didn't actually happen.
Yeah, but I don't care. That's the thing. Like if that happens, it's a funny story on the podcast, and that will have been more that I've gotten out of it than what would have happened, right? Like all of that would have happened if I didn't say anything is that my personal hopes would have been up and then they would have down. But, you know, at least I get something out of it this way, one way or another.
We will celebrate once it's real, for sure.
Yeah, we can. I'll get back to you right before Christmas.
Right before Christmas?
Yeah, right before Christmas. We'll know if that actually happened. We won't know if I've gotten paid. That'll be a whole nother story. Also, I feel like I need an agent at this point for something like this.
Are they just negotiating with you directly?
We will be negotiating. Well, the rate is already set, so I'm good on that. But like, you know, the negotiation outside of that, of work and shit like that, like,
dude.
Well, I don't know, man. Like I've done tons of research on it and what I should be looking for. And so like I should be able to hold my ground myself on these sort of things. I know what to be looking out for. But at the same time, I would like to have an agent.
It does make things
getting
easier.
An agent in voice acting is hard. Because everybody wants to be a voice actor, so agents are getting a billion emails about that shit. So,
yeah, it's got to be like a nepotism. You got to know someone. But now do you
remember that email that I told you about the agent that got back to me?
Yes.
And then I think I was on the podcast when I talked to you. Though.
Yeah.
He was talking about the seminar or whatever the fuck that they won all new. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's still taking bookings.
That's still to date the only callback I've gotten. For agents.
Dude, it's okay. Now you're gonna have some clout. It's only up from here. This is square one, my friend.
I hope so.
It's a square one.
But we'll see.
Dude, that
But yeah, that's what I did today because I was just like, oh, cool. Like I should probably focus on that again because I hadn't been for a while.
we're gonna get some ice cream. We'll have a Christmas party, and it'll be a celebration. But not until it actually happens. That would be bad luck. That'll be bad luck.
Sure. Sounds good.
Um, shit. I dude, that's great.
Thanks.
That's really cool.
I'm excited. Can't wait for my hopes to be dashed away.
Be like, wow, everyone's so much better than me. Oh no, why did they hire me?
Oh, yeah.
What did you learn?
Okay, so that was actually the thing that that I thought was really intriguing because Bryan Cranston's talking about you have to have this actor's arrogance. He was talking about that exact thing. And I've experienced it through like the voice acting like classes and stuff that I've gone through, like the workshops and stuff. Like I have a fucking inferiority complex when it comes to this thing because it's not something I practiced and established myself like I have with casting, right?
Yeah.
Even when I did casting, right? First of all, the competition was amateur, so it wasn't like it was easy to compare myself to other people because they weren't perfect, right? I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that guy's pretty good, but he's not great. I could be better than that, right? So the competition is more amateur, especially when I was getting in. And then on top, like further than that, I knew I was a good Dota player. And I knew my analysis was pretty on point. I knew it was better than most other analysts that I was hearing, let alone play-by-play casters. So it's like I knew my shit. So there's like some confidence level that I had in that fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking voice acting is just like you just go into a room and there's a whole bunch of like fucking creative types who have like done this shit for since they were 6 years old and they were doing school plays and shit. And like I've never been in a school play. I've never done any acting like that, anything like that.
Dude,
And so I'm just like, oh fuck, I get into this room. There's a bunch of fucking amazing people all doing these sort of things. And like that, you'll always experience that. You know? It's like it happens in like any talent industry, but honestly, it happens in like most jobs in general, right? Like I'm sure you've experienced a number of times, right?
Oh yeah, I walk in rooms all the time, and I'm like, well, probably not supposed to be here. Time to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. I mean, I'm definitely familiar with like the whole fake it till you make it thing, and I know that there is like an aura of confidence that like if you kind of can almost trick yourself into or like exude, people just like believe it, right? I think I'm much better at kind of sticking to that mentality around people that I don't know at all. But as soon as I know someone, then it falls back more into like a modesty situation. So I don't know how you so are you just like what's the takeaway from Mr. Cranston?
Oh, so yeah, I guess I never explained this. Now the term actor's arrogance. He was talking about basically how actors have to, in some ways, be so confident in themselves, so like full of themselves in some ways that what they are putting out there is a like almost gift, where it's like I have something for you, and I'm going to show you this, and here it is. You have to go into auditioning with that kind of confidence, not am I going to get the job? Sort of like flop sweaty. Oh my god! Please hire me! Please hire me! Please. No, it's hey, I have something really cool to show you, and here it is. You know, you have to come into it with that sort of actor's arrogance. Save it for the auditioning room, but like you have to come into these things with certain confidence. And I thought that was really interesting because like I've gone through in-person auditions at this point in time, and it is like I'm literally thinking to myself, this would be really cool if I have a job. But oh my god, like I heard that guy do his take when he was practicing outside, and holy shit, he was really good. You know, like like all that sort of stuff, like all the fucking nervousness and second guessing yourself all goes through. And so his explanation of like you need to treat the audition more as like what as like you giving the audition is the job. It's you creating something and showing it to people, and like whether or not you get the the role later on, that's not the job part. The job is creating something in the first place and just being happy with that. That's what I took from it anyway. And so I thought that was interesting because I can apply it to esports life as well, right? Of just like, hey, I'm just going to show you like my idea of what I think is really good. And, you know, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But I'm going to be confident in like the product I'm creating because it's for me. And esports is very much like that, where it's very personality driven and it's commentary and personalities and stuff like that.
So I have a great fucking story that I want to share with you.
Oh yeah.
About falling asleep in the shower.
Yes. I'm excited. Give me that story, Joey.
So the thing is that, you know, can't even try to pretend. I have a like let me sell you on tongue scrapers.
Now you just sound like a car salesman.
I have a gift for you, god damn it. And it is that a $5 tongue scraper off Amazon will change your oral hygiene forever.
And the best part is like it's coming from Bryan Cranston, you know, so it's like, you know, if it was somebody, it was like Chris Hemsworth, I'd be like, go fuck yourself, Chris Hemsworth. Like, you fucking handsome, shitty piece of shit. Like, you're too good of a human being. Like, what the fuck do you mean actor's arrogance? But it's Bryan Cranston, you know, like that guy was the fucking America's dad when he was in Malcolm in the Middle. Like, he's got, like, you just feel something about, he's got to be a good person, right? And so it's like listening to him say that, I was just like, oh, I really want to listen to more of you about that. Same goes with Steve Martin had a really interesting word. It was just like everyone has the question of like, how do I do better on auditions? How do I get this job? How do I make it? How do I do this? And like nobody asked the question of like, how do I get really fucking good? Because that's what it takes. You just got to be really fucking good so people can't ignore you. And like, I was like, shit, that also applies to esports, you know? That also is just like, how do you fucking make it? Like people worry about like the connections and like the fucking power dynamics and like just be so fucking good, like Owen was. Just be so fucking good that people aren't going to ignore you. They can't ignore you because you're your guy. People want to listen to you because you're that good.
So I need to just be Owen and or Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, be one of them, or Steve Martin. I mean, just pick.
I don't know if I want to
like
be Steve Martin, but like I can
successful and charismatic people. Just do that. Just, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like, man.
Hey, man but they all go to Ralph's.
What?
They all go to Ralph's. They're just normal people.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, according to Steve Martin, he said he was never talented. I don't know if I believe that. Steve Martin that I see is pretty fucking talented, but he's just like, I was never talented. I just wanted to be really fucking good.
Dude, well, let's just keep on chasing success because we're so fucking good at everything we do that it's just people can't ignore us.
Just kill the ancient, lol.
Yeah.
That's what that advice sounds like. Just click his head.
How do you get better at Counter-Strike? Just click his fucking head.
Just click him in the head.
Just click him in the head, right? Okay. Oh. Man, I don't have a nugget to round out on because see, now I'm doing it again. I have an important
you have
thing
a great closing to the
share.
show.
I have a great closer to the show. I'm like fucking Coumadin because I clot blood so fast. Fuck, God, Coumadin is blood thinners. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. I'm so bad at comedy.
Nobody knew that.
What?
Nobody knew that until
there's someone right now.
95% of people though, Joey, didn't know that.
But I gotta cater to the 5% of people who's like going to give their mom Coumadin shots right now to make sure that she doesn't have any blood clots and like has a stroke. Someone's listening to that show and they knew exactly when I said the wrong thing.
You know what? That's a loser's mentality, Joey. You know what that is? That's responding to Redditors' mentality right there. Okay. I whenever I listen to casters, man, and I can always hear it. when they have to double back on themselves, and I do it all the time. They double back on themselves knowing preemptively that they said something, and they can see what the person on the internet is going to argue why they're stupid for saying such thing, and they're going to preempt that counter argument with a counter argument of their own. And it's so janky in commentary, and God, I do it all the time. Can't think about the fucking Redditor, Joey. Can't think about that 5%.
Just write them off. Just write them off as Bulldog fans. Then you don't have to treat them like humans anymore.
Jeez. We want to be a popular podcast in Dota 2, everybody. Please share our podcast with more people.
Like me saying that is the same thing as like making a YouTube video but then not doing like a thumbnail that like is popular and important. It's like, oh hey, I know that I should be trying to make a wide audience. I should be trying to cast to everyone. I should be trying to follow trends to use the algorithm to get as much SEO as possible. But nah, fuck people who watch his stream. Damn it.
It's like, at least we're punching up.
That's the important rule.
We're allowed to do that, right? This is kind of a comedy podcast.
We can make fun of Valve, and we can make fun of Owen, and we can make fun of Bulldog because he is unequivocally famous, even if he's a piece of shit. And we can make fun of who else can we punch up against? That's it, right?
You're really riled up about this, huh?
It's all that I have. Please let me have it. Man. Now go ahead and do your part and share the podcast, be it with or without a Twitch denizen. Maybe it's a YouTube person. Maybe it's your friend who you play Dota with. Maybe it's your friend who you used to play Dota with. Maybe it's you want to figure out if Cap's actually going to get this gig or if he's going to be really sad about it in a couple of weeks when it doesn't pull through. Maybe you want to hear more stories about my narcolepsy in the shower. Maybe you're curious where I got this great shirt that has like roses on it. Maybe
it is a great shirt.
Thank you. No, it's really. I'm not wearing pants, but I mean, like, oh, look, it's so form, dude. Look.
Yeah. Wow. Look at you. Look at those biceps bulging. That chest hair is flowing. It's mustache is.
You inspired me to do the mustache thing. I definitely thought about you when I cut it this week. But also, I'm interviewing some potential people to work with us this week, and I wanted to look as ridiculous as possible while I'm interviewing them. That was my entire goal.
That's a unique step to setting yourself as an authority figure. I just wanted to look as goofy as possible.
My problem, though, is that I definitely have like these pimples like right where the goatee's going, and it just looks like my mustache points right to them. So your eyes are just gravitated towards the acne, which is not great. I was trying to wrap up the show, everybody. I see the timer. It's at 58 minutes and 35 seconds, and I need to tell you goodbye because what happens when the show gets to an hour is
blows up.
Chaos. Absolute chaos. So tell your friends about the podcast.
It's like Speed. Don't go under 60.
I legitimately think Speed is one of the best movies of all time. It is incredibly funny for all the wrong reasons. And if you haven't watched Speed, I cannot recommend you enough to have half of a join and watch Speed. I promise you, you'll be so happy.
60's coming, Joe.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm almost ready. You gotta share the podcast with your friends. You gotta follow on the podcast players that you like. You want to watch us on YouTube? That's cool. You want to follow Cap on Twitter? Do it at Dota Capitalist. He has a great mustache there. If you want to watch on YouTube, I have a great mustache here right now. If you want to play Dota in the Sidepole Guild, SIDEP, Side P. I said last week I was going to remove people. I didn't do that. I'm going to do it this week. That's my bad. You know why? I didn't set a reminder for myself. It's very important to write notes, everybody. Remember to have a great personal task management system because you don't want to forget about things. And I still have 20 seconds left. So with these last 20 seconds, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that they're loved and cared about. Not necessarily by me, but just in general. I don't want to give you false.
Went over 60.